Welcome to Peace in the Valley, my friends. Today we are going to do something interesting, I think. Well, maybe it's not so interesting. Something we've got to do. One of those things that you don't want to do, but it still has to be done at times. What I'm getting ready to do is we're going to saw some signs. And no trespassing. We've had an issue lately that needs to be dealt with, and this is going to be how we deal with it. I had some signs made by Jerison, and I need to cut them apart. I think we've got a ½ inch in between that we need to cut off. You can see right here it shows 6.5 from the red line to the next red line, which means we've got a ½ inch that needs to come out of each one in between. So I think that's pretty easy. Looks like Jerison actually started us in the right place, or pretty close. So we're going to cut all of these first at 6.5. Then we're going to do our finish cut. So the right side of the blade will have to be we'll have to move that over, because 6.5 will actually have to be on the left side, not the right, to make this step and repeat work correctly. Okay, first cut's done. Now we can come back and set it to 6 inches. Okay, full stack is done, and they look consistent, I think. Next step is to make these more professional. We need to round the corners. Okay. So that's what it ends up looking like when we're all said and done. So, about time. What's the bottom one look like? About the same. We got a project to do today. See that? We're going to replace the corners on the garage. You can see how rotted that board is. Let me show you a little bit about this place. You can see the original siding underneath, and then second siding, and it is old. This used to be a carriage house before they had cars. So let me show you something. Back underneath my junk down here, you see that? That is the foundation of where the fireplace was. Went up, that's where the chimney went. You can definitely tell it's pre-World War II, because the beams, the 2x4s actually measure 2x4. And it's really hard wood. Trying to shoot nails in, trying to drill through it, it's pretty easy to break your bits or your nails going into that old hardwood, the native lumber. The house here, except for the add-on, was, by our best guess, built in 1884. And the reason we believe that it was built in 1884 is because when we had the windows replaced, and you can see there's actually a stained glass above that one. It's easier to tell at night when the lights are on. But when we took the windows out, there were the weights, the iron weights were inside. And they were dated July of 1884. And so that's why we think it was built around 1884. So the house itself is old. The walls are all solid brick. The shed and the garage, which the shed also used to be a garage or a carriage house. We've kind of piled up stones between the two when we'd find them. That may not have been a good idea, but it is what it is. Well, this weekend I didn't get a whole lot done. I mean, I did, but I found projects that had to be addressed. So I took the corners off, which you saw in the video, but I also came and found that the window frames were rotted. A lot of the wood was just completely gone. And I'll show you some more of that. So I had to rebuild some of these old frames, and inside and out, which was unfortunate. This one here I was able to repair, putting some new wood in, treated. This window actually looks good now, and it's sealed pretty well, but it ended up that the frames are just rotted. So we had to take those apart. This here you can see how rotted that was. So we had a fun project. I didn't put it all on camera because it just took a long time. It was something that I could not just quite work out. Here is the new frame itself, and I designed it a little bit different than it was before, actually a lot different. Not only do I have a 16-degree bevel down here at the bottom, which I had to put on to make it fit for the drip edge, but the glass will fit in on this ledge, and then we'll put a piece of wood in that holds it into place. And we did that all the way around. Now I just have to go to the hardware store and have them cut me a piece of 1/8-inch thick glass. What are you supposed to do with old nails? A lot of times I do reuse them if they're pretty straight. And they're not bad nails. Unlike the nails from your nail gun that you really can't reuse, you can reuse these sometimes. So today we're going to set up an electric fence. Just a cheap one from Tractor Supply. It says 2 miles. It's I probably should have got something stronger. But why would I want to set up an electric fence? Because I'm tired of rabbits and coons and everything else getting my plants before I can. So that's why we're setting up them. Next, I need to build a housing for the controller here, because I don't want to try to run the power from a tractor shed, or at least not the wires for it. We'll run the power over this cord, and I want to be able to easily disconnect it. So we're going to build a little house for it, a little house by the garden. And then I need to be able to disconnect it quickly for when I mow, because I don't want to run it underground unless I know this is going to be a success and permanent. So here's my board we're going to make the housing from. And I need to make hinges. Of all the metal that I save, I can't seem to find old cabinet hinges. I don't know why I wouldn't save them, other than I just wanted to throw them all away. See if I have anything over there. Yes, I know, my garage is a disaster right now. I've got 4 or 5 projects going on simultaneously, and I'm gonna fix that. So we're gonna make some hinges. We're gonna make some hinges from old metal, and we're gonna see how that works. That's interesting. Now you don't know what this is, but I do, so I'm gonna tell you. This here is what I used to use. I had on this, which used to hold routers underneath this table, 2 of them, and I would use this to make tiny timbers, or we call them tiny timbers. They were the same as like Lincoln logs. When my kids were younger, I made a whole bunch of boxes of Lincoln logs and made them of varying sizes and longer than the traditional ones, so you could make really big cabins, really big buildings. It was pretty incredible. I just recently gave those away to my brother down in North Carolina. But this here was my jig, and I had 2 sets of them. But I just found them, and I'm going to repurpose them to hold tools and stuff up here on the wall. Okay, we're going to do that. I just realized, I think, that there is a protective layer of plastic. Wow. Over top my welding, the welding glass. That should make it actually much clearer. I always wondered if that was the case. We are going to, here, we'll put a hole through here that can bolt onto the wood, screw onto the wood. This here will drop inside the other. Amazing how much clearer this is without that plastic on. Now we got 2 of them. Now we've got 2 of them exactly the same, 10 inches on the back end. That's going to be our outer housing. Now, if my guesses are correct, that will continue, and it does. Excellent. But that guess may have been right. I got to have the whole width of this box. Like this. I can't have them like this. Like this, it's too narrow. We will glue and attach that, glue and attach that. And the front will need to overhang enough that we can turn this in and out, and the water can run off. The door will have to go on the outside, not on the inside like that. Okay, so we're going to make the roof now. We're going to have to cut 2 of these at 7.5. So let's make it 7 3/4. That way we'll have room to trim. Then we're going to glue them together. like that and glue. And I have to do the same thing for the door. We want a real good seal on here. So we're going to glue both ends, smooth it out really well. Then wipe your hands on your pants. Let that sit for just a few seconds. It's always best to get the glue off while it's not a rock. We are going to make the door. Similar process. In fact, I may even do it exact same way. If I wanted to make it full height, I could do it right at 8. Do I have enough room for 16 inches? Yeah. Yeah, I could make it actually 8 and then cut it exactly where I need it after they're glued together. Okay. And probably better put good surfaces together when gluing. I got this toolkit a couple years ago from Amazon. Very inexpensive, but honestly, I've been very happy with it. I don't expect a whole lot out of it, but I've never had one break, and they've stayed pretty sharp. I think it cost me less than what a really good bit cost, and I'm not disappointed a bit. A bit, let alone. That's good. I think this has been in for about 20 minutes now. We'll take that out. It can continue to dry on its own. We'll go ahead and get the next one gluing. Glue is running out, which means we've got it tight enough, and that will become a great bonded piece of wood. About a 1/16 over. We're going to count that as a good. There will be room for the wires then to run back behind. And we'll count it as the same place and hope it works. I went too far. Not going to worry about it. 1/4 of an inch deep. So we'll go a 1/2 inch wider than what this board is. That brings us to 6 inches. And we'll subtract a 1/16 off so it can move. Our second piece now finished gluing. That one actually glued even smoother. This is some poplar I used when making some picture frames a while back. This here is some pine offcuts. 20 degrees, 20 degrees. This is the edge I want to cut. Is it even going to work? We'll start off lightly clamping it until we get both of them on. I don't think we'll have to clamp this one all that long. And now, let's put in a couple of nails. Okay. I have to be able to get the plug in, so we'll have to be careful on that one. So this sits like that. Okay. This bottom is really not there. Okay, that should give plenty of room for it to plug in. Okay. The roof, the door. Now to come back and make the hinge, if we wanted to. Okay, if the washer is the hinge, and we mount it like that. We just finished pounding in our posts, and I just put them on the corners for right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to snap these on. That might be a little too high. What you think? Yeah, I think I need to lower that. I will have to make sure that I weed eat underneath the whole pathway. I saw some of the YouTubers who were saying that theirs had been, their crop is going to be difficult this year due to the fact that it's so cold and rainy. Well, we're just the opposite. I don't blame the heat, but it is extremely dry here in Northwest Ohio. We're about ready to string up the wire, but we need to finish getting the housing up for the controller. We're just about finished, and we started on that earlier. Then we had a 4th of July party, so now we are going to finish that up. You can see there's our little shelf that can slide out if need be. We have room to put wires on the back side, and we have room to plug in right here. Homemade hinges, which are these. You remember what we're going to do. They're going to sit over here. This line is what we need to center the bolt on. That here will then go like this, okay? You can see I also drew, maybe you can't see, but I have a line right here on the green that I'm going to cut this edge off. We're also ready to drill holes for our hinges. We've got to find some screws though in our scrap screw yard. I found 8 screws, sheet metal screws, that I think will work fine as long as I don't over tighten them or ruin it. Figure out where exactly this is going to sit. Okay. Just go real slow. Okay. Door comes off like I expected. Okay, door. Ho ho ho! And now it does work. You want to take the door off? Get full access? You can. Now does it do it with the roof on? Just like that. Yes, that is still very hot, I can tell. Yes, that works also. That makes this box mostly weather resistant. I think I need to build some kind of a latch right here. There it is. And shut. Okay. All with making our own. How is it if we lift it up? Same way. how you make your own hinges that can also pop off. Kind of reminds you of something from Pirates in the Caribbean, huh?
These are half-pin barrel hinges. Get me out. Hurry.
Alright, there it is. That part is now done. Let's put the roof on. The ground is so dry, I can't get the step stakes in. It's so hard. There we go. What we're going to do here is we're going to bend this back. And we're going to make a loop for the other wire to slide it in. Well, this one get closer. We've got several of these chains in this around here. Well, that's going to wrap it up for me for tonight. I've got the line all up and it's getting late. Hopefully it's tight enough. It looks like it's all off the ground, but there is places where I do have to trim before we can turn it on. Okay, the electric fence is up. I hope it's working. Pretty sure it is because my tester sparked when I touched it. Here's my ground line, and here it is with my hinges. See how that looks? Got it to where I can just unplug it. So we're just on temporarily to make sure that we're happy with how this is going to work. And then we can run it permanently. But for now, I think is what we want. A few months, hopefully keep the rabbits out. Probably less than 2 months.